Hello, dear. It's Heather, and you're watching Save Today with Heather J. I am still somebody who has spent her entire adult life living paycheck to paycheck, and I am still one life event away from financial crisis. I am trying to change my financial future because I'm not comfortable living the way I have been living for all of my adult past. So this channel is my attempt at fixing that. I thank you for those of you who've chosen to join me along this journey, for being here for me, because it does help in so many ways. Today I'm going to go over the estimates, the setup for my entire budgeting month of April. For myself, my budgeting months do not line up with my calendar months. Maybe we'll get there, but I'm not there yet. Basically, I get paid every other Friday, and my rent is due on the 1st. So whichever pay check the 1st is in, that's when my 1st of the month is. So my month of April goes from March 22nd to April 18th. So very, very early in the month is my, anyway. Normally when I do this first setup with you, I write down everything on my calendar with you on camera. Unfortunately, I do have a lovely new book, and it has caused me to have to redo a lot of things, and weirdly that caused a lot of errors as I was writing in this book. So this is now my 3rd time filming today's video, so my calendar is actually already filled out for us here. Paycheck number 1, again, from March 22nd to April 4th. The only thing I have is rent and 1 doctor's appointment, but so that's all filled out. We're not going to go over that on camera. We're going to do my monthly setup, and then we're going to look at how that breaks down into paycheck number 1 and paycheck number 2. When I do these setups, I go over what my expected income or estimated income is going to be, what my fixed expenses are, all of the bills that have an X amount and X date when that's going to be due, and then what my flexible spending is, the things I'm going to need to buy with whatever happens to be left. And then we go over kind of closing that out, what that looks like if I take all that away. So I start with my hourly wage, which is $20.85, times, I estimate 38 hours in a work week, times the amount of weeks we're talking about in whatever cycle we're talking about, and then I take away 25%. So for my month, it is $20.85 an hour times 38 hours times 4 weeks in the month, take away 25%, and I am left with a wage estimate of $2,376.90. And then I have space for other things that may be showing up. And this month, I believe my son will be paying me back some of the money I gave him last month to get some of his necessities. Now, I gave him a large amount of money last month, and I will be getting all of that back. But the most of what I gave him came from my savings and will go immediately back into my savings and isn't going to be part of my budget because it didn't come from my budget. But I did give him $101.56, which was things he needed for things like gasoline, his medication, some groceries and things like that. And that he will be paying me back, and that was $101.56. And then I do expect to get state taxes back in the form, in the amount of $50. Now, I'm living in the state I'm in for the entire year of 2023, but I did get a small amount of taxes taken out from a state I did not live in 2023. And of course, that's my money. They don't get to have it. They had no right to have their hands in there. So I did have to file my taxes to get my money back to me. And so that I am expecting that to show up sometime this month. I have already filled that return, and I'm expecting $50 back from that. So that does have my income estimate at $2,528.46. The next thing we go into is my fixed expenses, which are really all of those bills. So the first thing I have is rent at $878. Again, my rent, this has gone up $25. It's now $875 a month, and then I have a $3 processing fee for the automatic withdrawal. My utilities are estimated to be $200 this month. Utilities are one of my fixed expenses that actually does fluctuate, but it is still a bill, and it falls underneath here and underneath that category for myself because that's where it makes sense to me. We are in the time of year where it's warming up and we're using less heat, so I do expect my utilities to go down, and so hopefully it will be less than that $200 is. Then I have a phone bill for $194.49. This is a large phone bill. I'm aware of that. This is the next thing I'm working on getting removed or reduced. Right now, this phone bill is through T-Mobile. I have 2 phone lines, 1 tablet, and the house internet, and 2 streaming services on that for $194.49. I will be switching to Mint, and at that time I will pay for an entire year for 1 phone line, and all of that other stuff will stop being my responsibility. And then this 1 month is about what an entire year on Mint will be. So I'm looking forward to that, but that's not this month. I do have a student loan for $69.74. I have a hospital bill for $61.86. This hospital bill was an emergency room visit at the end of November. It was originally set up on 24 months for $38.80. In March, I received a bill for another hospital charge, and I called to have that added to this. At that time, they added that one plus 2 others that they were able to see on their end but had not yet been mailed to me. So they added all 3 of those to the one existing one. So now 4 bills, and that raised it from $38.80 to $61.86. I'm honestly not certain which price I will be paying for the month of April because I made this adjustment after I received that bill. So I don't know if that will actually be the $38.80 or the $61.86, but I put that in there just in case. If it's less, I'm happy with that. I have 1 doctor's visit where I have a $25 copay as I set up this month. I do expect more doctor visits will show up during this month, but right now as I set up my month, this is the only one that's on the books, and that will have a $25 copay. I do owe state taxes for the state I'm in at $205, and tax day is April 15th, so that has to get paid this month. I have received some bills for doctor's office visits, 3 different visits for a combined total of $29.50. These are things that my $25 did not pay, mostly things like blood draws and things like that. Then I have a radiology bill for $12.39. I have this line item for other in case something else comes up and it needs a place to go. But that does mean my total fixed expenses for this month is $1,675.98. That is a lot of bills that are coming out this month. It's a lot of kind of one-off things that won't show up. I won't have to pay my taxes again for a year. I won't have to, these doctor's visits won't happen, but other things will. So this is really high. It's very discouraging to have that be this high. It's another really tight, challenging month. So now we're going to go into my flexible spending. Flexible spending is things that don't have a set due date. These are things that I can spend a lot or spend a little based on what I buy and where I buy it from. So for me, that's groceries, dining out, transportation, art, and miscellaneous. For the month, I've given myself $660 in the estimate for groceries. Nothing in dining out. I am trying to not eat out, but I do need to have that line item in there because that is something I spend some of my flexible money on. If it happens, it needs a place to go, but I haven't budgeted anything for that this month. Transportation, I have budgeted $80, 1 full fill up per pay period. My art, I've given myself $30 this month, and my miscellaneous, I've given myself $30 this month. Just like with my income and my fixed expenses, this miscellaneous is a kind of a space holder for other things that come up. And so far, something's come up every single month. So I've given myself $30 there. That does mean for the entire month, I've given myself an estimate of $800 to apply to my flexible spending. What does that look like when we carry all of that down? My ending balance, I have an income again of $2,528.46. I have an estimated fixed expenses of $1,675.98, estimate of flexible spending for $800, which does leave me at the end of the month with $52.48 if everything goes exactly this smooth. So far, that hasn't happened. I've never, ever had a month go as good as I budgeted out to be. But that's what we're looking at. I have $52.48 of wiggle room in there. Let's take a look at how that breaks down in paycheck number 1 and paycheck number 2. I will go through that really fast because that's going to be a lot of repetition. Paycheck number 1, again, $20.85 an hour, 38 hours, 2 weeks, 25%. Gives me $1,088.45. I do think that my first paycheck cycle is when I will get that money back from my son at the 101.56, which means my income for paycheck number 1 is expected to be $1,290 and a penny. My fixed expenses for paycheck number 1 is just my rent, and that one doctor's visit falls within this 2-week time frame for $25. I don't have anything else scheduled here, but I do have that line item holding that space. So $903 is what my estimate is for my fixed expenses. Then my flexible spending, I've given myself only $310 in groceries and only $40 in transportation. That's all I have to play with for this pay period, so $350 in flexible spending. As we close that out, it looks like $1,188.45. Take away the $903, take away that $350, leaves me with $37 and a penny left over, assuming I keep my flexible spending under control and assuming something doesn't show up as in fixed expenses. Let's take a look at what's left for paycheck number 2 then, as we turn here. Same thing, wages, $20.85, 38 hours, 2 weeks, 25%, $1,188.45. I don't know when I'm going to get those tax returns, but it's probably not going to be until the end of the month. So I've put that $50 in paycheck number 2. And again, I do have a line item for other, just in case something shows up I'm not expecting. Some sort of other refund, bill, repayment, birthday money. It's not my birthday month, so I won't be getting birthday money. So my wages, my income is expected to be $1,238.45 for paycheck number 2. My fixed expenses, the bills that are due, paycheck number 2 is every single thing else. I have my utilities, again, $200, my phone, $194.49. That student loan, $69.74. Those taxes, a huge bite at $205. My co-pays for the doctor's visits, the $29.50, my radiology at $12.39, and this hospital bill at $61.86. That one could potentially still be $38.80 this month. We'll see how that goes. So my total fixed expenses are $772.98 for paycheck number 2. Then in flexible spending, I've given myself a little bit more money here. I have $350 in groceries, so just a tiny bit more in groceries, still no dining out. $40 in transportation, same as paycheck number 1. And then this is where I have a little bit of extra wiggle room to perhaps do some art and miscellaneous. I really have some storage stuff I want to buy so I can continue working on my sewing room organization project. I've been held up because of my finances the last 2 months, and I haven't been able to move that forward. So that does mean $450 in flexible spending for paycheck number 2. As we carry down the ending balance, again, $1,238.45 in income. take away $772.98 for fixed expenses, and $450 for flexible spending would leave me with $15.47 at the end of this pay period. If I really do have anything left over at those paychecks, that does need to be saved so that I can have that little bit of buffer in my account for rent in paycheck number 1 in May. So that is how things close out. I do, even though I struggled getting things figured out in this brand new book, I'm so far liking this brand new book. And we'll see how the rest of the months carry out for me. That is the end of my estimates for April. I hope things go well, and I hope I have more money than I think I'm going to have, because I really want more money. Who doesn't want more money? I do. I want it. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will talk to you next time, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Please have fun. Bye-bye now.